Typical spelling, Victor. Last name is Gordo, Gordo, mayor of the city of Pasadena. Let me first say on behalf of all residents of Pasadena that our thoughts and prayers are with those who have lost their home and even their lives here in Pasadena, as well as in Altadena and the Palisades. On behalf of all residents of Pasadena and the leaders that you see behind me, we will certainly have all those individuals and their families and friends in our thoughts and prayers. We have experienced a tremendous tragedy here in our community. To date, we have over 100,000 people under mandatory evacuation. We've had 5 fatalities, and then we have close to another 100,000 people who have been warned to evacuate because they are in a danger zone. Hundreds of homes have been lost. I'll let the police chief and the fire chief talk about that. But this is an opportunity for us as a community, as a people, to band together and work to support one another. Whether you're affected or not, please take the opportunity to help a neighbor, help a friend, check in on friends and neighbors, and certainly check in on family members. Here with me today are Councilmember Jason Lyon, Councilmember Justin Jones, Councilmember Jessica Rivas, my colleagues on the Pasadena City Council. Also with us today is City Manager Miguel Marquez, our Supervisor, LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger, Congressmember Judy Chu, State Senator Sasha Perez, Assemblymember John Harabedian, the Superintendent of the Pasadena Unified School District, Dr. Blanco, the President of Pasadena City College, Dr. Jose Perez, a representative from the Humane Society. Also with us today are neighboring Assembly members, Assemblymember Coloza, Assemblymember Nick Schultz. You'll also hear from Fire Chief Chad Augustine and Police Chief Gene Harris. So again, I just want to assure people that Pasadena is working in conjunction with our neighboring jurisdictions, including the County of Los Angeles, particularly the County of Los Angeles. Supervisor Barger and I had the opportunity to sit down with the Governor of California this afternoon, not too long ago, maybe an hour ago, and the Governor has assured us that he will provide whatever assistance that we may request. And so on behalf of Supervisor Barger and I'd like to thank the Governor for coming, seeing for himself the devastation and committing the Guard and other resources to Pasadena. And so we will certainly be in touch. With that, let me, and I'll go over these points in Spanish at the end as well. Let me turn it over to City Manager Miguel Marquez.
Good afternoon. My name is Miguel Marquez. Excuse me, Miguel spelled M-I-G-U-E-L, Marquez, M-A-R-Q-U-E-Z. I am the city manager for the city of Pasadena. It's been a brutal 22 hours here in Pasadena. My heart aches for all who lost their homes, their memories, and their sense of security. About 22 hours ago, we first learned of a fire in Eaton Canyon. As they always do, and despite the dangers, our first responders rushed to the scene. They found darkness, they found fire, and they found 80-mile-per-hour winds. Air support was not possible under those conditions. Our first responders did all they could under those brutal conditions to put out the fire, putting their own lives at risk to save others. They battled through the night, with more and more joining the fight as the night wore on. Our police officers went door to door, ensuring as many residents as possible were evacuated to safety, including many seniors and those with mobility limitations. They saved many, many lives in the last 22 hours. Their efforts were heroic. Our first responders, our public works department who cleared the streets, Pasadena Water and Power, who kept the power on and the water flowing throughout the night. Public servants from so many different agencies came together in the last 22 hours to keep as many people safe as possible. Together, many, many lives were saved. The battle continues, as does our resolve. We will put out the fire, and then it will be time to rebuild. In this community, we may get knocked down, but we always pick ourselves up. Many thanks to our first responders, our city staff, our city council, our county, state, and federal partners, our education partners, our nonprofit partners, our business partners, our partners in the media, and most of all, our residents. Thanks to all for once again stepping up and doing what needed to be done to keep people as safe as possible in the face of danger. We will not relent. We will heal. We will rebuild. These last 22 hours didn't bring us down. They made us Pasadena strong. Thank you.
Next, I'll invite LA County Supervisor and our Supervisor, Catherine Barger.
As I was standing here, one of our Altadena residents came up to me who's very active in the Rotary, and he lost his home. I'm hearing this time and time again. And as the mayor told you, we went up and took a tour, and it is surreal. It is without words that I can even explain to you what is taking place, especially in my district in Altadena, but also in the bordering area of Pasadena. My heart is heavy, but I have to say, and the mayor is absolutely correct, we met with the governor, who also met with the president, and resources, both financial, but also resources for boots on the ground, are here, and we're going to continue to fight this fight. But I would ask people, please, 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 if you don't need to be in the area, we don't need you in the area. Recognize that when we drove up there, these are fires that are actively taking place as we speak. And there were many people that don't live in the area that just wanted to go up and take a look. We have fire personnel that is fighting this blaze, not only in Altadena, but also in the Palisades area. We need you all to work with us. And to those people that want to go up and loot, the full weight of the county will come down on you. And that's going to start with the district attorney, who's issuing a press release and is going to make sure the full extent of the law is played out if you are caught looting in any area impacted by this fire. But I want to thank our first responders, who many of which have been on the line for over 24 hours. And I think it's important for us to know that the chief of the LA County Fire has asked for resources outside the state, with the goal to let them go in and begin to fight the fire so that our firefighters can take a break and then start again. But again, I want to thank our first responders, but I also want to thank our state and federal partners, Congressmember Chu, Congressman Whitesides, who represents Santa Clarita area. It's very reassuring to know that we have an all hands on deck, both at the state and at the federal level. And we will rebuild. And to my friends out there that have lost their homes, we are here for you as we look forward to what we are going to do to help you rebuild your life. So with that, thank you.
Next, Congressmember Judy Chu.
Hello, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I just got off the plane from Washington, D.C. My heart goes out to those who've lost their homes and their businesses. I've had friends tell me that they've lost their homes, and I can't believe the destruction that this fire is causing. But I want to tell you that this morning I was on the phone with the White House and with FEMA, and President Biden has declared this a national disaster. So now the mechanics are set for people to get assistance for recovery from FEMA. And also, FEMA was asked last night by the state of California to declare this eligible for the fire management grants, and indeed it is. So all the expenses that we see for fighting this fire will be reimbursed by the federal government. And also, I've spoken to Supervisor Torres of the San Gabriel Mountains. He's asked for help from Washington, D.C. to close the forest area. So I do want to urge everybody, please stay away from the forest area. I just urge everybody to make sure that you obey the evacuation orders, and that also you take advantage of the shelters that are available at the Pasadena Civic Center as well as the Arcadia Community Center. Our office is going to be ready to assist you in the recovery from these fires. And we know that there will be assistance from the Small Business Administration, which has emergency loans, and there will be grants from FEMA. But right now, the most important thing is to be safe. So that's why I say to everybody, please stay out of these areas, please make sure you obey the evacuation orders, and please stay safe.
Next, State Senator Sasha Renee Perez.
Good evening, everyone. I think this is a really difficult moment for many of us in the community, especially for those of us that have grown up in the San Gabriel Valley and who have come to know and love this community. As the supervisor said, we're receiving many calls from friends and community members letting us know that they've lost their homes, they've lost their businesses. This is a really devastating time. We just toured the site and there are still fires burning, and I want to emphasize to people, if you are told to evacuate, please evacuate. Please take these warnings seriously. I have family members that have evacuated, they have left their homes. I understand how difficult of a decision this is, but this is about safety and safety first. We want to make sure that you all are taken care of, that you're taking care of your families. This is what is most important right now. It is incredibly dangerous for individuals to be up there during the time when there's fires like this. This is a very, very dangerous time, so please evacuate, get somewhere safe, make sure that your family is safe. Also, if you receive an evacuation warning, please make sure, if you have elderly neighbors, pick up the phone and let them know. We've seen a lot of senior citizens just here at the senior center that have been evacuated, and someone taking a moment to knock on the door and make sure that they were informed so that they're getting out of their home is so critical and makes such a difference. We know right now that there's a lot of folks that are struggling to have cell service when they're up in the foothills right now. We know power lines are down, and these fires are continuing to rage on. So, the state's doing everything that it can right now to make sure that we're allocating resources. We're moving firefighters from Northern California, from Central California to come here to fight this fire. There's firefighters coming from out of state. And so resources are coming. We're going to get this thing contained, but it is going to take time. And so make sure that you're staying away, letting our public safety officers do what they need to do so that we can get this contained. Thank you.
Next, Assemblymember John Harabedian.
Thank you, Mayor Gordo. For anyone who is a believer of any faith, please, we need your prayers. We need your thoughts of healing and anything that you can do to help our community. Many of our neighbors, our loved ones, and members throughout our community lost their lives today. And we are with you. We see you, we feel you, and we are going to help you get through this. As part of the state of California, along with our governor, our federal and local officials, our main mission now is to keep people safe, minimize any further devastation. And for those of you who lost your homes, who lost your property, who lost your loved ones, we are going to help you rebuild. We're going to do everything we can to fight for you every day, now, this week, over the next couple months and years, to make sure you get your life back. And that is my promise. That is the promise of everyone behind us. But please stay diligent. Heed the warnings of our public safety officers, and please stay out of harm's way. Thank you to our men and women on the front lines, our first responders. We are not out of this. It is all hands on deck, and it's going to be a long couple nights still. So thank you to everyone who's helping these efforts, and please pray for us.
Next, Superintendent of the Pasadena Unified School District, Dr. Blanco.
Good evening, and I want to echo the sentiments that our heart goes out to all of our families, our staff, our employees who have suffered losses during this devastating event. Behind me, you see the power of us, the city, the mayor, the city manager, our leader from the PCC, all came around the school district to help us provide for our families and our students. I saw many of my families here today who have lost their homes along with their staff. Thank you for being here with them, and thank you for supporting them. Our schools are going to remain closed for the rest of the week. We are continuing to assess the damages at our school. Our maintenance and operation team, along with our police department, the sheriffs, and our fire department have been assessing our buildings. Our preliminary assessment results show that the fire has substantially damaged 5 campuses. While most of them are in good condition, we have confirmed these 5 campuses in Altadena. Elliott's Arts Magnet School is damaged. Franklin Elementary, which was closed in 2020, has damage of about 80%. 3 campuses that house other schools have sustained damages: Edison, Loma Alta, and Noyes. Please note this information is preliminary. The fire is not contained, and some of our schools still remain in the path of the fire. We're working together with our city partners to do everything we can to preserve our schools. Our next steps are recovery. We're planning for recovery as we respond to the emergency, as we know our families are dependent on us. Public education is the bedrock of democracy. We learned that in COVID, and we will be here to help our families and our staff get through what is happening in our city. Thank you. We're deeply grateful for everything that you all have done to help and support us.
Next, President of Pasadena City College, Dr. Jose Gomez.
Hi, I'm Jose A. Gomez, Jose A. Gomez, Gomez. Over the last 24 hours, our hearts have been broken by what has transpired. We have lost our peace. Although Pasadena City College has sustained minor damage, our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts are with our greater community. We are so grateful at Pasadena City College for the incredible leadership that the city of Pasadena and all of our legislators and all of our elected officials have provided, not just to our college, but also to our community. The campus will be closed, and we will not be having classes until next Monday. We will resume regular schedule and classes on Monday, if possible. Of course, it's a very fluid situation. But more importantly than that, we have activated much of our campus community in support of our partners and our greater Pasadena San Gabriel Valley family. Our emergency management response team has been deployed here to the convention center to help the city. We have our nursing staff who will be arriving soon to help our city Department of Public Health, and in partnership with our superintendent of Pasadena Unified School District, Dr. Elizabeth Blanco. We are also serving meals to our PUSD families at Pasadena City College. We are here to help in any way possible, and we, of course, appreciate all of your support and all of your help. Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley has been an amazing partner to PCC, and we are here to be an important and critical partner to the communities that we serve. Thank you.
Next, from the Humane Society, Dia DeVernit.
I'm Dia DeVernit, President and CEO of Pasadena Humane. We're a nonprofit animal welfare organization and shelter serving Pasadena and 10 surrounding areas, including Altadena, which has been very hard hit by this fire. And our hearts really go out to all the people who have lost their homes and their pets in this disaster. We recently just heard from one of our board members who lost her home with her 2 cats in it. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more stories like this in the coming hours and days, but our primary focus has been over the past 24 hours to assist people who have been safely evacuating with their pets and need a place for their pets to go. So we've taken in over 250 pets in the past 24 hours. And we have been working today to coordinate with shelters throughout the state to help take the animals that are already in our shelter to make room for more animals who are coming in. I want to really thank everyone who has offered assistance, including the shelters around the state and people who we see in our community who are rescuing neighbors' pets and bringing them to us. It really has been heartwarming to see even our staff members who have been evacuated and are losing their homes coming to the shelter to shelter with their pets and take care of other people's pets. It's going to take a real community effort to recover from this. We've had lots of inquiries from people wanting to help. We're taking names of those who would be interested in fostering animals as we get more animals in. Right now, our primary need is monetary donations so that we can provide emergency services to pets that have been impacted by the fires. We are also providing food and other pet supplies if anyone is in need. And we really encourage you, if you are evacuating, please make sure your pet has identification. Take pet supplies with you. And if possible, please try to stay with family or friends who can accommodate you and your pet, as the shelters are really becoming quite stressed in this situation. I want to give a few concrete resources because they have been rapidly evolving. For those in the foothill areas who have horses in need of shelter, right now the Fairplex in Pomona is taking them, the Industry Hills Equestrian Center, and soon LA County will be opening the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds. We've heard that the LA Equestrian Center, where horses have been kept, is currently being evacuated. We have recently started to see the first injured animals coming in. We've had a cat and some wildlife coming in. If you do find injured wildlife, we'd like you to call our wildlife helpline at 626-344-1129. We're very thankful to our skilled veterinarians who are providing care to these animals, and we'll continue to provide care around the clock to animals in need in our community. Thank you.
Next, because this is still an active fire with very little, if any, containment, I think it's important to hear from the fire chief, and our fire chief is here with us, Chief Chad Augustine.
Good afternoon. My name is Chad Augustine, your Pasadena Fire Chief, ChadAugustin. I'd like to give you a current sit stat on our Eaton Fire. We can confirm that the Eaton Fire is now over 10,600 acres at 0% containment. I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't highlight some of the heroic actions last night by your public safety, police, and fire, who literally saved lives, pulling people out from burning buildings, getting them out of streets and vehicles where they had no ways to evacuate. Our death count today would be significantly higher without their heroic actions. We currently have 60 strike teams requested and 750 firefighters working on this incident. We're in a unified command with multiple agencies to include Law, LA County Fire, LA County Sheriff, and Angeles National Forest, along with Pasadena Fire. We have strike teams committed from all over the state and as far as Arizona coming to assist us. Multiple structures have been damaged or destroyed as this wind-driven fire had wind gusts of 70+ miles per hour. We had spotting of embers 2 to 3 miles ahead of the fire. I can confirm tonight that we have somewhere between 200 and 500 structures damaged or lost. We really need, as it becomes safe to do so, and we get a better handle on this fire, we're going to be able to. We need to come in and be able to survey the damage to get an exact total of number of structures that have been damaged or completely lost. We continue to be in red flag conditions, and we expect that to be through Thursday, with variable and high wind speeds, thankfully not as strong as what we saw last night. We are encouraging people to stay updated as the weather can continue to change very rapidly. Please, if we issue an evacuation order, heed our request. Be prepared, have your go bag, and immediately evacuate. Thankfully, the current forecasts allow us today to start getting aircraft in to fight this fire. Since around 10 a.m., we've had aircraft doing water drops. With the goal of limiting the fire spread, we will come behind those water drops with hand crews and fire engines to get a containment line around this fire. We expect, with favorable conditions over the next couple days, to start making good progress on this fire. And with that, I'll turn it over to the police chief.
Chief, can we take a question? The statistics and the current situation with your firefighters, how are they holding up over the past 22 hours now?
Yeah, they're exhausted. We need those reinforcements coming in, but they've done incredible work. Where they've, an example is crews that fought 15 house fires over a 28-hour period. They didn't save any of them, but they prevented 2 or 3 blocks away from burning down. So great work, not just from your Pasadena fire, but throughout this entire region. Yeah.
Requesting 60 strike teams. What's the status of that? And how long before
Great question. So we have multiple strike teams have arrived. We're in the early 15-ish strike teams, and we expect over the next 24 hours we'll be close to 50. Even some of the Arizona strike teams should be here by this evening.
Can you talk about resources being stretched? I know that this morning, looking at some of the fires, there were maybe 1 or 2 firefighters on scene only because it appeared not to have the resources that you're going to stretch to a minute. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I would be kidding all of you if I said we didn't have resources stretched yesterday, right? It's a rarity that you have 2 major brush fires in LA County like we did yesterday with the Eaton Fire and the Palisades, let alone the multiple other fires that we saw. So we had an extreme drawdown from with LA County Fire, and they are our biggest partner. Even with their drawdown, they sent us a lot of resources last night, which was really helpful. It's unfortunate with the wind gusts that we had, up to 70-mile-an-hour winds, they had to ground their aircraft last night. But we really relied on all of LA County to bring us resources, and then with the mutual aid requests from up and down the state. Did that answer your question? Thank you.
What you said, I want to ask about, we're inside the fire zone, and multiple residents talked about a lack of water pressure, or lack of water at all trying to fight the fires. There's a similar situation in the Palisades. They said it was due to the amount of water usage at one time. Is this what you were seeing? What was the situation there? We saw it firsthand as well. Why was this the case? Is this going to be trouble on the problem?
Yeah, when you have multiple fires, multiple city blocks on fire, I'll throw a number out, 100 fire engines flowing water, we are gonna stretch our water system. On top of that, we had a loss of power temporarily, which impacted our water system. But I'll be clear, we could have had much more water. With those wind gusts, we were not stopping that fire last night. Those erratic wind gusts were throwing embers for multiple miles ahead of the fire, and that's really what caused the rapid spread of this fire.
Sir, what specific fire start? The most specific, because it's a picture taken approximately 6:30 last night, like a transforming fire and around 9.
That's correct. The time that is correct, and around 6:30 was when the fire came in the Altadena area. It was actually in LA County, but right on the border. We had both Pasadena and LA County resources arriving almost simultaneously, and then of course the fire quickly moved into the Pasadena city limits.
So 10,600 acres on fire, 0% containment, 100 homes destroyed. What can you say to the
Yeah.
that you have a handle on these in the meantime?
Yeah, what gives me hope is when I look at the trees and bushes around here. Last night was incredible, right? It was like something that most of you have probably never seen. Tonight we have very mild wind conditions where we can get aircraft and a ton of additional resources getting their hands around this fire. That's what gives me confidence that we're going to get a handle on this fire.
Before, why don't we bring the police chief up, and then then you can ask questions of both chiefs.
Can we talk about the cause of the fire and if there are others? We know that there are several fires burning. Are any of these connected to the blue light that may be arson?
The cause, you're going to love my generic answer, but the cause is under investigation, right? We have multiple fire investigators as well as fire and arson investigators from LA County and local resources investigating that. We need to let them do their good work so that we can come up with an accurate cause and origin.
We'll ask the chief to stay here for more questions, but in the meantime, because this also involves a public safety situation and neighborhoods that have been evacuated and homes, the message I want to reiterate is don't even think about it. Don't think about coming to loot any of these properties in Pasadena or Altadena, because the Pasadena Police Department, as well as the LA County Sheriff and resources from the state of California, will be out there patrolling and protecting these neighborhoods. With that, I'll turn it over to our police chief, Eugene Harris, to provide you more facts and details.
My name is Gene Harris. I am the police chief for the city of Pasadena. Gene is Gene. Last name is Harris, Harris. Last night at the beginning of this incident, first responders from the city of Pasadena responded to the area of this event primarily on a safety mission. But when they got there, they rapidly found an escalating fire that was growing rapidly with the wind gusts, and it turned into a rescue evacuation scenario. Those first responders acted heroically by going in and either evacuating or rescuing numerous folks that are now housed in this building behind me. It was nothing short of heroic, and as they got there, it rapidly turned into that type of mission. So we had people from our police department, our fire department, certainly reached out into our Area C partners, local, state, and county folks that came to assist. And it took all night to get folks rescued or evacuated from their homes, and that effort was robust in that end. We also reached out beyond our county into other counties. We had some other agencies roll assets to us that could help us solve this problem, and they are still on scene at our command post as we speak. As you heard said, this is an active scenario from a law enforcement perspective. You've heard all of the fire circumstances and issues. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we in law enforcement are doing in this incident. As I said, it started out as a evacuation rescue mission. It is now going to transition for law enforcement into a protection and community safety mission. And we will be staunch in protecting the community and protecting the homes of those folks folks who've had to be evacuated. We will have numerous folks in and around the area, upwards of 150 officers at any one time in and around the city, handling all of our regular patrol efforts, but certainly focusing on making sure that the homes and the property around the burn area is secure. We will be staunch in that effort. If you have, and this is a message to the community, if you have a righteous reason to be there, declare that reason to law enforcement personnel and we'll assist you. If you don't have a righteous or legal reason to be there, expect to be challenged, and we will deal with you accordingly. The idea here is we want to make sure that we protect the people in this community, we protect the sanctity of these people's homes, and we will do that without fail. As you heard the mayor say, don't come here if that is the mission, if that's what you plan to do. You will run into somebody in one of these uniforms, and we will take care of that situation. So ensure that we are going to be staunch and very stern about the way that we're conducting this protection mission. I want to end it by simply saying the first responders in this city are second to none. Those partners that responded to help us really stood up, and you've got some really good elements that came out here to support this community and make it safe. So we will have ongoing and sustained operations. There will not be any lessening of operational capability for emergency services. We might find that some of the regular services will be out. We've put some information out on that for social media and on the media to make sure that people understand that we may not have the counters open and some of those things for regular services. But all emergency services will be dealt with without any lessening of services or impact. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Now we can open it up to questions from any of our speakers that you may have. I can do Spanish now, or we can do one-on-one.
Mayor, we asked the chief about the looting situation. Was this did that happen here at Eaton Fire? What was the situation here that makes you speak so forcefully about any activities that might happen?
Well, the forceful nature of my delivery is really designed to impact what our caring is for this community. It's a community caring mission. We haven't had any incidents of looting, and we don't want any. And so the message is, don't come here if that's what you plan to do. You're going to run into one of us, and we're going to be staunch in that effort. So we haven't had anything yet, but we're trying to expect the unexpected and get in front of these types of things.
Any other questions for Chief Agustin?
Chief, there were a number of significant spot fires that broke out not only in the hills but along Lake Avenue, for example. Several buildings caught fire at once. Do you anticipate any of that tomorrow?
I do not. Right? We're still in a very active incident, right? And we have a dynamic fire that has 0% containment. But what caused a lot of last night's issues was the dynamic winds. Wind gusts of 70 miles an hour and very erratic winds. 2 in the morning, they changed direction heading westward, and we ended up having evacuations all the way to Glendale. So do I expect a risk of fire spread tomorrow? Yes. Do I expect erratic fire weather like we saw last night? No. We can confidently say those embers were spreading ember casts 2+ miles, right? And we were in red flag conditions, right? And just acknowledging that we're in red flag conditions in January, right, should make us all pause. And so the humidity was so low last night that a single spark could cause a fire. And then you add in the wind gusts. And when I was driving to the fire last night, there was dozens of fires starting just from the embers that were being thrown blocks, and miles ahead of the fire.
Chief, the owner of the Money Museum told us on our air on CBS that the fire hydrant in front of his museum was dry and that firefighters couldn't get any water out of it. Are you sure that all the hydrants are working? Was that a water pressure problem? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can't comment on that specific instance because I don't know the facts of that, but I can tell you that it's very common in a brush fire in a city when you have that big of a fire with that many resources, we're going to tax our water supply and our water system. Then if you have a loss of power, which may impact the pressure, it's going to make it even worse. So yes, all of that. We're going to struggle on water supply on a very, very large brush fire like we saw last night with multiple structures on fire.
Do you feel that you got enough help, enough mutual aid quick enough? Did it arrive fast enough? Yeah. Could it have helped sooner?
What was great, if there was a positive thing from yesterday, is we were preparing for a wind event for multiple days in advance of what happened last night. We were preparing for a wind event as well as possible brush fire, but you had augmented staffing all over the county, which really benefited us because we were able to be nimble, send resources to Palisades Fire early in the day, and they were sending us resources by the evening time. That's the benefit of the mutual aid system in California, specifically LA County. Yes.
You know, as you're speaking right now on our air, we're showing live pictures of houses burned to the ground. Yes. These are images that you and everyone standing behind you has seen all day long. What do you say to homeowners that are watching this happen in real time?
We grieve for them, right? We are incredibly sorry that they have a loss of, for many of them, everything they own, right? And it's tough as your fire chief. That's my responsibility. I also know that last night was unprecedented conditions, where we did a lot of good work, but we were not able to save every residence or building that was out there.
Mayor Gordo, on that same note, how surreal is it to inside this convention center anytime before the events, but to see it being utilized in this way? More than 1,000 people are now using this. Looking forward, what are some of the biggest needs that you think in the days to come that you'll need here for the folks in the fashion?
Well, first and foremost, it's very sad to see families dislodged, particularly families that have lost their home and, as the chief says, have lost everything. I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be to transition people who have lost their home into permanent housing. We have hundreds of homes that have been destroyed, and moving people into permanent long-term housing is definitely going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge that we're going to engage the county, the state, and the federal government in.
Has there been any contact information, a website or phone number set up for missing persons? So if a family member, if someone in the area was evacuated, the family's out of state or out of county, how do you track down your loved one?
Well, the standard 911 will be efficient enough to get us to the numbers that we need to get you. I would suggest that you make that call. To me, that stands to be an emergency, so let's do that. You can also contact our business line, and we can get you to the right people that can guide you in. If you think that your folks are at our evacuation center, which is right here behind us, we have plenty of staff that are here that can help you ID any family members or friends that might be here. I don't know that off the top of my head, unfortunately, but we can get that on our website.
Okay, this again, to all affected residents, know that your city, your county, and other resources are there to help. If you need assistance, please reach out to us. Pasadena and its residents, and Altadena, it's a resilient community. And I'm sure that we'll bounce back. In the interim, this is an evolving situation, and so we're asking people to listen carefully to what the police chief, the fire chief are saying. If you're asked to evacuate, evacuate. If you're thinking about coming to Pasadena or Altadena, for that matter, to cause problems, think twice, because the Pasadena Police Department and the LA County Sheriffs will be there to greet you, and you will be arrested if you're engaging in conduct that you should not be engaging in. With that, that will complete our, unless there are other questions. Thank you.
All right, we've been listening to officials there in Pasadena bringing us up to date regarding the Eaton Fire burning most of the Altadena area there. We're expecting a news conference in about 13 minutes or so that will include LA city officials as well as Mayor Karen Bass as well.
Following that, we'll hear from LA City Fire Chief Kristen Crowley. Following that, we'll hear from LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney. After that, we'll hear from LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, then Sheriff Robert Luna, and following that, we'll hear from LADWP General Manager Janice Quinones, as well as Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. The mayor will come back to the podium and open it up for questions. I'll call on questions from the left. And with that, Mayor Bass.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I stand here today with incredible sympathy and concern about the devastation and the tragedy that our city and county are facing. And I definitely want to send my condolences to the families who lost loved ones, to the families and neighborhoods who lost property. This firestorm is the big one in magnitude. Hurricane force winds are usually accompanied by rainstorms, but these are hurricane force winds that are combined with extremely dry drought conditions. To provide context, at 10:20 a.m. yesterday, the Palisades fire was at 10 acres. 12 minutes later, it was at 200 acres. To those who fled their homes, especially those who have lost your homes, our hearts are breaking for you, and we stand with you. I know the world is looking at images of our city's devastation. I have seen the front lines of the Palisades fire, and it is staggering. I've been in constant contact with our fire commanders, with county, state, and federal officials. I took the fastest route back, which included being on a military plane, which facilitated our communications. So I was able to be on the phone the entire time of the flight. We are fighting for you and everyone in Los Angeles. Thank you to our first responders who waded into flames, pulled people from cars, and got them to safety no matter how dangerous. And thank you to everyone who heeded our warnings to evacuate. Tonight, more people may get evacuation orders, and if they do, please leave immediately. If you have an evacuation warning, get ready to go. Protect yourself and each other, and support our firefighters on the front lines. Our strategy included preparations and pre-deployment, and it now includes fire crews from around the state and from our federal partners. We are also adapting in real time. These winds continue to blow. So let me be clear. I am making sure that we leave no resource untapped. Firefighters are now on scene from across the state and across the country. I spoke with President Biden today and Governor Newsom earlier today, and they assured me of full federal and state support. As we head into tonight, we are still facing strong and erratic winds. In Palisades and in Sylmar, we are very much in an active firefight. I can report to you that the Woodley fire, however, in the Sepulveda Basin is under control. I can also report that finally air operations have resumed, and that is a big deal, but it is up to the winds as to how long the air support can continue. But these conditions are highly volatile. We've seen a devastating fire in the Pasadena area. Fires have sparked up in Simi Valley and on the LA and Ventura County line. And as our firefighters do battle on the front lines, all of us must be vigilant. So if you receive an evacuation order, please leave immediately. If you receive a warning, get ready. Protect yourself and protect each other. And don't divert firefighters from our strategy. Signals are out and the roads have debris. So stay off the roads unless you are evacuating or have another emergency. Be prepared, food, water, medicine, a bag packed and ready. Again, this is an active situation. And conserve water to the extent that you can. We want to make sure that we are ready if we need more water. But make no mistake, Los Angeles will rebuild stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance of Angelenos, and the spirit of our city. This is a big moment. It is a big moment for all of us to come together, for Angelenos to be united, for Angelenos to be prepared to help each other. This is who we are. LA will rise, and make no mistake, I am confident that we will rebuild. And with that, I would like to introduce LA County Board of Supervisor Chair, Catherine Barger.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank you for your leadership. I know when this first hit, we were in constant contact, so thank you for being a true leader to this great city of Los Angeles. Obviously, as someone who represents the 5th District, we are prone to wildfires, but nothing like what I witnessed today. The Eaton Canyon fire is ripping through a community like I have never seen. It is like a third world country out there. I would ask anyone listening, if you do not need to be in the area and you've been evacuated, please heed the evacuation warning. And if you don't live in the area, please stay away. I was shocked to see people walking around that don't live up there, that are just taking a look at what's going on. We have firefighter and first responders that are trying to do their job, and it's important for us to all support them and make sure that we provide space so that they can get it done. The county has lost many facilities. Our parks, our Eaton Canyon Nature Center, our senior center. I'm sure the sheriff will talk about the fact that we almost lost our sheriff's station, but it's been evacuated. We are going to rebuild. And when we met with the governor and the president, the resources and the promises have been made. And it's going to be our job to deliver. And I am confident, given the resiliency of this great county, working with all of our partners, we will rebuild. And to my friends out there that I have talked to today that have lost their homes up in Eaton Canyon, I am a phone call away, and you are not alone. And to those of you that have lost homes, please reach out for help. You are not alone. It's important for us to recognize that these people have lost everything. In many cases, their entire life savings. So as we move forward, we're going to make sure the Department of Mental Health has resources on the ground. But if you need someone to talk to, reach out. Reach out. Love thy neighbor. So with that, I would like to invite Supervisor Lindsay Horvath up, my colleague who represents the 3rd District, the Palisades Fire.
Thank you very much. Earlier today, I visited the Westwood Recreation Center, where I was able to listen, to grieve, and to be with evacuees in this time of crisis, to also thank the volunteers, but most importantly, to let each person know in this time of crisis that they're not alone. To everyone feeling the anguish of this tragedy, the county will be here for you, no matter what, as we recover from these fires. But we're not out of this yet, and we need to continue to follow all guidance from our emergency personnel. I want to thank you for evacuating, for letting our first responders do their job, and for keeping your loved ones safe. Here are the updates from the 3rd District. Since our last press conference, evacuation orders have expanded into Santa Monica to San Vicente, and evacuation warnings now include Montana to Wilshire, Ocean to 11th. Gas shutoffs are affecting more than 15,000 people in Malibu, from Brentwood Country Club to Pepperdine. A boil water advisory is now in effect for LA County Waterworks District 29. This is the Sunset Mesa community from Topanga Beach and Coastline Drive on the south to Shore Heights Drive on the north, and from Topanga Canyon Road to Carbon Canyon Road in Malibu, including communities of Big Rock and Carbon Mesa. For more information about water, you can call 800-675-4357. Barry J. Nydorf Juvenile Hall remains in an evacuation warning area. Should the warning become an order, the chief has developed a plan for safe evacuation. Our young people's safety remains my top priority. Today, we also received agreement from the President of the United States to approve a major disaster declaration, which will include individual assistance and public assistance programs. President Biden, we are so grateful. Additionally, our County Department of Mental Health is activated for mental health resources. You can call the helpline at 800-854-7771 for 24/7 support and mental health resources. We know this is a traumatic time. Please ask for help. The county has also invested additional funding into our 211 system to increase capacity. LASA has activated the Augmented Winter Shelter Program to provide shelter to our unhoused community during this time. LA County Assessor Jeffrey Prang has shared property tax installment deferral applications, misfortune calamity damage reassessment applications, and a disaster relief FAQ for property owners affected by the fires. You can go to assessor.lacounty.gov. The Emergency Network LA is coordinating volunteers. To sign up, go to enla.org. In addition, the American Red Cross and LA Food Bank have all set up specific donation websites that you can access at emergency.lacounty.gov. Downed trees and power lines are impacting public transit service, and I want to thank Chair of our Metro Board, Supervisor Janice Hahn, for her speed and waiving Metro fares on today because of station power outages. But please, if you are in a safe place and you don't need to travel, stay put and stay safe. For those evacuating, Uber is providing rides for free up to $40 to get to active shelters. This includes Pasadena Civic Auditorium, Westwood Recreation Center, El Camino Real Charter, Richie Valens Rec Center, and you can use the promo code WILDFIRE25. Tonight, the winds will remain strong, but our resolve is stronger. This emergency will continue. Let's keep each other safe, heed emergency instruction, and pray for the success of our frontline and first responders. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce LA City Fire Chief Kristen Crowley.
Good evening, everyone. As Southern California is continuing to endure some of the most historic fire conditions on record, extreme fire weather driven by strong and erratic winds and low humidity have ignited multiple fires across our region. The LAFD is fully committed to continuously monitoring and adapting to the evolving nature of this weather event and stands ready to respond to any additional incidents that may arise. Now, how did we prepare? We prepared in many, many ways, but I want to focus on two main things. We augmented our staffing levels and strategically pre-deployed our additional resources. In addition, we have recalled off-duty LAFD firefighters to augment our response across the entire city. I'll be providing a brief on a few of the incidents within the city. As we know, the Palisades fire continues to demand significant local, regional, state, and federal resources. Currently, the fire is over 15,800 acres and is growing, with 1,792 personnel who are currently assigned. And as we know, I want to be very, very clear that this incident is very, very dynamic as we speak. The good news, the winds have subsided a bit, enough to allow our fixed wing and rotor wing aircraft to provide critical air support to this fire. Next up is the Hearst Fire. The Hearst Fire has grown to over 700 acres with 260 personnel assigned to this specific incident. There are evacuation orders in place with multiple structures that are threatened. We continue to focus on fire and life safety. The Woodley incident. It is controlled and approximately has burned 30 acres. I want to clarify a little something before Chief Maroney comes up. The Eaton Fire, we are closely monitoring this specific fire. It is in the county, and we are absolutely paying very, very close attention to see how else we can assist. If it does come into the city, we are ready. Now, in addition to the large-scale brush fires, in the past 24 hours, the LAFD has responded to an additional 3,950 911 calls for service within the city. This also includes 10 structure fires. We have treated and transported an extensive number of medical emergencies throughout the city. Now, the LAFD also continues to assess and allocate resources to ensure timely and effective responses across the entire city. As the situation evolves, the LAFD remains steadfast in its mission, working closely with our local, state, and federal partners to mitigate the impacts of this unprecedented fire condition. Also, I want to talk about a few of the challenges and adaptations. Multiple incidents throughout this region. We are going to talk about all of these fires within Southern California. We're utilizing mutual aid partners from across the region, state, and adjoining states, and firefighters are surging into Southern California as we speak. Also, the challenges with water pressure in the Palisades. Standard firefighting adaptations for water. What we do when water is limited. We have the ability to pull water from ponds. We can pull water from pools. We're utilizing as many water tenders that we have, and we're working very, very closely with DWP on this. Next, we will continue to focus. I want to make very, very clear, saving lives first, evacuations, and rescues. We are not out of danger. You can see the active fires that are burning. With strong winds that are going to continue throughout the night, I can tell you and assure you that firefighters and first responders remain focused on protecting lives and property. We urge the public to help us by doing the following. Stay informed through trusted news and official updates. Be prepared to evacuate if you live near wildland areas. Follow all evacuation warnings and orders without delay. We also ask the public to stay off the roadways and away from any of the impacted areas. Now, the LAFD and other partners, we're working so closely together. We are absolutely united in our top priority, and that is saving lives. Ensuring that the safe evacuation and rescue of our residents in harm's way remains our absolute top priority and our focus during this wind-driven fire. Thank you, Mayor Bass, the elected leaders who are here, and for all and every single firefighter, first responder, boots on the ground that are doing the work. Together we can continue to protect our communities and keep everybody safe. Next, I'd like to go ahead and introduce the fire chief from Los Angeles County, which is Anthony Maroney.
So good evening. Thank you for the comprehensive update, Chief Crowley. My name is Anthony Maroney. I'm the County of Los Angeles Fire Chief, and I'm going to give an LA County update in addition to a Region 1 update. For the Eaton Fire in Los Angeles County, Altadena, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre, the LA County Fire Department continues to be in unified command with the U.S. Forest Service and the Pasadena and Sierra Madre Fire Departments, in addition to our law enforcement partners. The fire has been mapped this afternoon at 10,600 acres, and it is still growing. We have 0% containment. We have over 750 firefighting personnel assigned on the line and mutual aid resources from out of state, including Arizona, have arrived to assist us with this firefight. Unfortunately, we have 5 reported civilian fatalities, a number of injuries, and over 1,000 structures damaged or destroyed. The cause of the fire is unknown and under active investigation by both the Los Angeles County Fire Department, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and the U.S. Forest Service arson investigators. And the moment we learn the cause of this fire, we will advise the media. We also have a new fire start in the Acton area of Los Angeles County, the Lydia Fire, estimated to be between 80 and 100 acres, 30% contained, and thankfully, forward progress has been stopped. As the Region 1 coordinator, I did request mutual aid from the 5 counties of Los Angeles, Orange County, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties yesterday. Additionally, last night, I contacted the State Office of Emergency Services and requested 250 additional engine companies from Northern California, staffed with over 1,000 personnel. At this time, the state of California is exercising their emergency compacts with the western states of Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Oregon, and Washington for additional firefighting resources and personnel to come to Los Angeles County to assist us with this widespread fire emergency. One data point is that we have 60 units responding from Oregon, 45 units responding from Washington, 10 units responding from New Mexico, 15 units responding from Utah, and numerous units responding from Arizona. Currently, the National Weather Service has predicted that this red flag warning will remain in effect for Los Angeles County and much of Ventura County through Friday. Thank you, and I would now like to invite up to the podium Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald.
Thank you very much, Chief. I just want to say a few things and not to repeat what's already been said any more than needs to be stressed, but a sincere thank you to everybody who's out there in the impacted area for your patience and your support, to our first responders and support departments who have been out there from the very beginning doing the very best they can to protect everybody. The word resilience was used, and that's what it's going to be. We're going to be an example of resilience in the very best sense of the word. We're going to bounce back from this, and it's going to be a challenging week ahead, but we're going to be able to get through it by working together. These have been unprecedented conditions, as you've heard over and over again, and the fire has been very unpredictable. That is why the need for vigilance is I can't stress enough how much we got to pay attention to our neighbors, to our own yards and property, and be able to catch something quickly if we get something sparking off. I think that is critical. This is not over, long from over. Our job primarily is to assist in a support capacity our fire partners with evacuation, with traffic control, and with crime suppression. And on the crime suppression front, you've heard also about the potential for looting, people going in and taking advantage of the worst possible circumstances to be able to enrich themselves. That will not be tolerated at all. And my ask is that everybody stay out of the impacted areas unless you live there, unless you have a real reason to be there. Our officers will be out there. They'll be watching for this, and we're taking this very, very seriously. So I want to thank you again for your work with us, to our media partners, for all that you've been able to do to get the message out there and keep people safe. It's now my honor to introduce Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you all for covering this very important story. So as I stand here before you with my partners around me, please know that I have several hundred LA County deputy sheriffs along with other police officers who are working all the impacted areas out there. They're involved in evacuations. They're involved in traffic control, ingress and egress into the area. They're involved in security, which the chief talked about, and I talked about it earlier. We're up to 3 arrests with looting. That is 100% unacceptable. I'm going to repeat it. If you do not belong in these areas, do not go there. We have additional people that we've brought in just to make sure that people's property are left alone. These people have gone through so much. Don't put them through more than they have to go through. And then we're on humanitarian missions. I have deputies dropping off food, blankets, and other things to people who have either been evacuated or who just need somebody to talk to and frankly just give a hug to. Those are the kind of things that we're doing out there. I do want to talk about evacuations. Regarding the Eaton Fire, we have over 70,000 of our community members who have been impacted by either evacuation orders and or warnings. The Palisades Fire, approximately 60,000 who have been impacted by evacuation orders or warnings. As I said earlier, we have called in additional resources, not only for what's in front of us, but looking around the corner, what's next. Both fire chiefs have made it very clear we are not out of danger. There's a lot of work to be done. For me, in my other role as mutual aid coordinator, just to give you an example, as we are not only calling in our resources, we check with other departments, both in the county and outside the county. And we've provided Pasadena Police Department with additional resources, one from the Long Beach Police Department in a mutual aid capacity, and from the Orange County Sheriff's Department. So I'd like to thank those 2 departments. And that's something we do in law enforcement. Santa Monica's asked for help last night, and we also coordinate in helping with that as well. Chief Maroney mentioned it. Unfortunately, we do have 5 fatalities, and we're praying that number doesn't increase, but there's a lot of work to do. And we'll see what happens there. We are up to 3 looting arrests as we speak. And then the last thing I'd like to leave you with again is earlier I spoke about evacuation warnings, evacuation orders, and a lot of road closures that are taking place in both of these locations. I'm not going to go through them all, but I encourage our community members to go to lacounty.gov/emergency, where you will get updates on those orders, warnings, and road closures. And again, I am really proud of our community overall. Sometimes we talk about the looting and people who aren't listening. I'm going to tell you, 99% of the people are listening, and I think that's why hopefully the injuries and fatalities and all those ugly things will stay down. So thank you to our LA County residents for working with us in partnership. And now I'd like to introduce LADWP General Manager Janice Quiñones.
Thank you and good evening. I'm Janice Quiñones, CEO and Chief Engineer of LADWP. In preparation for the windstorm, LADWP activated its emergency preparation plans and filled all 114 available water reservoirs and storage facilities throughout the city, including the 3 1-million-gallon tanks in the Palisades area. We also fuel all our generators serving our pump stations to ensure water will flow out through the emergency. We're working very closely and side by side with LA Fire Department and CAL FIRE in the command post to manage the water supplies. I want to be very clear that the water continues to flow in the Palisades area through our main system. We haven't had any disruption into the water system, but because the winds were severely limited, the air operations, the number of fire hoses connected to the fire hydrants depleted our tanks in the area, specifically in higher elevations. We immediately implemented our contingency plans to provide water trucks to support our firefighters, and our crews are working on how to refill those tanks during this very moment. Conditions for our crew are very hazardous, so we ask for your patience. We have deployed 19 water tankers to continue to provide water to fire departments on the firefighting efforts. And our engineers continue to look at other options to connect our systems and fill those water tanks faster. We're also asking our customers on the west side to conserve water, to make sure that we have water available and ready as the winds and the dry conditions continue. And in the Palisade area, because of the fire conditions, there is a boil water notice in effect for SIC code 90272. And the area north of San Vicente Boulevard and to the south. It's not citywide. Again, it's 90272 SIC code. If you want more information about the boil notices, go to ladwp.com for details. In terms of the power restoration efforts, LADWP has requested mutual assistance from Pacific Gas and Electric, and we're also working very closely with Southern California Edison to support each other while we restore power as quickly and safely as possible. As of 5 p.m. today, we have restored power to over 133,000 customers, and we have about 123 customers still out of power. We have 50 customers that have been out of power for more than 18 hours, and we're prioritizing those outages. Based on our current conditions and for the safety of our crews, if your power is out, you should plan for at least 24 hours before our crews can respond to make repairs. If you see a wire down, call 911 or report that to LADWP. Our number is 1-800-DIAL-DWP. Some areas, specifically those in fire areas, will take longer because we got to get clearance from the fire department to come and make repairs. I want to thank PG&E again at Southern California Edison and the Metropolitan Water District for their support in this response. And now I want to introduce LAUSD Superintendent Alberto Carvalho.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, for your leadership. I also want to thank the leadership of the city and the county, particularly those who are leading brave men and women as frontline warriors, our first responders, in dealing with this unprecedented set of circumstances. My function here today is to thank those who are collaborating in this community effort. Number one, to thank our workforce who today courageously brought 70% of our student body back to schools. They depend on nutrition, education, and support. But I also want to make an announcement specific to tomorrow. We certainly were hoping that conditions would significantly improve, that winds would subside, that the number of active fires would decrease, not necessarily increase. There would be a degree of stabilization. Unfortunately, despite the heroic efforts of our frontline men and women, that is not the case. Unfortunately, as a result of the unpredictability of high winds, a number of simultaneous fires throughout the community, a number of clouds of smoke, dust have permeated into our communities, making conditions less than desirable and in some instances downright dangerous. Our first priority is to protect the well-being of our workforce and our students. That is exactly what we are duty-bound to do. So after ample consultation with leaders, after clear examination of the data available, and entering a second night of this crisis, it is prudent to announce that all schools across Los Angeles Unified will be closed tomorrow, effective immediately. That applies not only to K-12 centers, applies to early education centers, career and technical centers, as well as adult education centers. Obviously, beyond the bell activities and child care services will also be suspended. Considering the level of poverty and despair in our community, we are not only professionally but also morally responsible for providing some degree of sustenance, as we often do. Therefore, we are activating 8 different centers for the distribution of food through a grab-and-go process for students of Los Angeles Unified. That will begin early tomorrow morning. For information about school closures and the location of the grab-and-go locations, please visit www.lausd.org. You will also find resources of support for our workforce and our students. Tomorrow, we will be pivoting 100% of our students to a continuity of learning model with virtual resources available for all of them. Sometime around 4 p.m. tomorrow, we will make a decision after consultation with leaders, as well as a careful examination of the trends as we observe them about what Friday will be like. I want to close by once again thanking our parents for their resilience, our workforce for their courage, and the remarkable men and women of this community who are working as first responders in very, very difficult circumstances. I will add that, unfortunately, the unthinkable has happened. We've lost two schools, elementary schools serving, providing educational services to over 700 students in the Palisades area have been completely destroyed. We're talking about Marquez Elementary and Palisades Elementary. 30% of Palisades High Charter School was destroyed. We were on site and could not believe what we were witnessing. We are prepared to relocate those students to provide a continuation of their educational services and restore normalcy to those families and those communities. Unas palabras en español. Me siento muy agradecido al liderazgo de nuestra alcaldesa, la señora Bass, y al liderazgo de la ciudad.
You've been listening to Superintendent of Schools, Alberto Carvalho there. I think the most important information we got from him, one is that LAUSD, all schools will be closed tomorrow. We have Margaret Stewart from LA Fire on the phone with us again. And I say again because you were so gracious to talk to us last evening, Ms. Stewart. Can you give us the latest information on what we are witnessing right now near Runyon Canyon?
Yes, we have a very dangerous and explosive fire in the Runyon Canyon, and we cannot emphasize enough, we need people to adhere to our immediate mandatory evacuation, and I will describe the box for you. On the right to the east is the 101, north to Mulholland, west to Laurel Canyon, south to Hollywood Boulevard. So that's the current mandatory evacuation zone. And if you go to lafd.org/news, you can click on the Sunset Fire link, and you'll be able to see the map. And to the west, so the evacuation zone will be in red. In yellow is the evacuation warning, and that goes slightly further south, I believe to Sunset, and it goes west and slightly north, primarily westerly direction, for quite a ways out towards Franklin Canyon. And so while we want immediate evacuation in the box I described, we also are asking people to evacuate early in the warning zone because this has the potential to move quickly. As you were just discussing, winds are still in excess of 25 miles per hour. Fortunately, they're not nearly what we had last night, and our aircraft are they're able to make drops, and they can start knocking out the hot pockets in the large areas of fire. But this is a dangerous situation, and we want people to go now.
Ms. Stewart, are you confident with the resources that we have, the extra resources that we are having today, that, and I know you don't want to make a prediction, but you know, this is your area. Are you pretty confident that we can get this under control before it gets out of control?
You know, we've got 27 fire companies that are already on scene. You know, that's over 150 firefighters that are on scene for structure defense and to anchor this fire, and then combine that with our air assets that are making water drops. You know, it's a well-orchestrated team, and now that we have the ability to fight on both fronts, from the air and from the ground, it gives us a much better position to be able to stop this fire.
And I know this is the work of law enforcement when it has to do with people being evacuated, but do you have any updates on that? Is there an organized effort as to where people should go? Are you privy to that information right now?
Yeah, so our law enforcement partners, LAPD, and potentially the sheriff's deputies may be assisting them, will handle the hands-on evacuation, and Parks and Recs are preparing evacuation centers. It takes a minute to get those ready, so they're not open yet. So right now we just want people to get south and get out of the area. And as soon as we have those evacuation centers up and running and staffed, we will get that information out.
Is there a website that you could give me now, Ms. Stewart, that when the information
Yes,
is ready, you can... Okay.
LAFD.org/news, and you'll actually see a page for each of the fires. You'll see the Hearst Fire, the Palisades Fire, and the Sunset Fire. Each have a link, and they each have their own map that shows the evacuation zones and all of the current information.
Can you say right now that this fire that we're looking at is a result of some of the other fires that have been burning? It seems to be pretty far away from the Eaton.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not. I would say that's not likely because the distance and the winds obviously aren't what they were earlier in the day and last night. But right now we just don't know. Right now our focus is life and property.
Okay, and can you tell us about any other areas that you're involved in right now? LA Fire. Can you give us an update? Do you have any new information? Since I have you on the phone.
We gave. Yeah, we had a press conference, a little while ago regarding the Palisades Fire. So any new information was provided there. There's no update on that. The Hearst Fire has been held at the same 700 acres. It's not contained yet, which means having fire lines around the fire, but it has not grown, and we've had no injuries at the Hearst Fire. So those are our three incidents.
Okay, Ms. Stewart, we really appreciate you speaking with us again this evening, and we certainly wish you well through all of this, and we will hopefully be able to speak with you again.
Sure.
All right, thank you. And thank you very much.